Alright, well, before we get into today's series finale review of Succession, I have a quick announcement I want to make. I'm officially stepping down from Nerd Soup. I feel like it's the right time for me to take a step back and choose someone else to lead the channel moving forward. So, without further ado, I would like to announce who is going to be my success...
Hello?
Oh, hey Ted. What are you doing here?
I'm here for the big announcement. You're going to step down, right?
Yeah, but this wouldn't concern you.
Why wouldn't it concern me? I'm part of the channel, no?
Yeah, but wait, you actually think you're going to take over for him?
That was the assumption, yes.
Why in the world would that happen?
I'm reliable.
Yeah, okay. Just look how you're dressed. I mean, I'm presentable, I'm in a suit, very CEO-like. You look like you're catcalling people on the city streets all day.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a hard-working citizen of the United States. I'm not sitting in AC all day getting manicures, pedicures.
Yeah, you should try it sometime, because it's sweet.
Let me see your fingers.
No.
Open your hands. Let me see your hands.
I'm not showing you my hands.
Guys, listen.
He doesn't even work. And what, you plan on picking him?
Yeah, because I'm going to be the new... Tell him.
Well, okay.
It's not you, man.
Guys.
Can you please tell him?
Listen, as I said, I'm here to announce who is going to lead Nerd Soup moving forward, who is going to host the podcast. I thought long and hard about who it should be. You know, this person has been by my side since the very beginning. Hand in hand, reliable, smart, thinks big, while also focusing on the little things.
It's so true.
And that person would be Anthony J.Q. Nash, the Nerd Soup robot.
What?
What?
That's stupid. Why would
Nash?
He sucks.
Why the hell did
He
you
doesn't
pick
even
Nash?
watch the show. He doesn't watch anything.
So I was thinking we don't call it Nerd Soup anymore. It's just soup. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Soup. I am Anthony J.Q. Nash here with Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we're here to review Succession, Season 4, Episode 10, With Open Eyes, which is directed by Mark Mylod and written by Jesse Armstrong.
So I've already accepted that this is your new role and everything, but for my comfort, I just so used to hearing Beau's voice. Is there any way you can kind of do a Beau impression just to make me feel better?
Yeah, that
Shouldn't be a problem. How about this? Is this enough Beau Oliver for you? You fucking putz? I actually have another announcement to make, my second major decision as CEO of Soup. And that would be today's episode is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah! It's a new day! Over the years, people have seen a ton of Raid ads. Most of these are about the game, its giveaways and mechanics. Now, with Raid, Call of the Arbiter, we want to celebrate something really unique, fun, free, and accessible to everyone. It's a new animated limited series that expands the world of Raid in a way that's never been seen before. If you go to our link in the description box below, you can watch it for free in the game. Episode 1 is out now, with the new episodes out every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time until July 20th. Episode 1, Gallic, provides backstory on one of Raid's most iconic characters, a warrior ogre who forsakes his people and his family to fight for justice. To be completely honest, I was a little skeptical about taking on this sponsorship initially. Raid's a cool game, but why does it need a limited series to further develop its characters? The characters are cool. It's fun to play with them. That's really all you need. But by the end of the first episode, I was almost in tears by how moving this 6-minute story actually was. It's a really dark, yet surprisingly sweet story about a trained killer choosing a different path. It's kind of incredible what they managed to capture thematically in just 6 minutes. And it's also got movie-quality animation, and I was surprised by how epic it was. Not only in the execution of the story, but in the actual framing of the battle sequences. And as I said, emotionally moving. And Raid Shadow Legends is celebrating their new limited series by adding a bunch of Call of the Arbiter related features in the game, including new champion bios to dig into, ranging from champions that feature in the show like Gallic, Athel, Kale, and Elhan, to fan favorites like Death Knight, Scylla the Drakes, and more. This launch will offer a ton of cool stuff for Raid fans, new and old, and this is probably the most exciting time to jump in if you haven't played Raid before. Every player will get a chance to get Artak, one of the 5 new characters from the show, as a playable legendary champion for free, just by logging into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, use our link in the description box below or scan our QR code to get insane bonuses. We are talking an epic champion, Knight Errant, from the Bannerlords faction, and other useful things. So go ahead, hit our link in the description box below, and we will see you on the battlefield. Soup Clan, join now while you have the chance. See, look at that, I did the intro perfectly, ad read, an incredible ad read. I'm basically a natural. I'm a natural at this. I was born to do this. I imagine everybody watching right now is thrilled by everything that just happened.
I know that you're like a robot, so you can sound like Beau and have the same thoughts as Beau, but I'm going to be honest, I don't like you.
Well, that's not so important. Let's just talk about the finale. I think people are sick of our back and forths, and there was a lot to talk about with this finale as it pertains to Succession, going right back to the title. You know what? When Mattson said success, that should have been the tell that he was going to win. Shorten up the title, success for him. I do think it's kind of hilarious just to skip to the ending of it all that Alexander Skarsgård is the winner. Can you imagine telling somebody back in season 1 it's going to be that tall, beautiful Swedish actor?
Yeah, no, that would have been a stretch, but I think even more so, saying Tom's the winner. Obviously, they've built up to it wonderfully, but when we were first introduced to this character, first couple episodes, and you're like, this guy's going to be CEO? And he did it being Tom the whole way. Sometimes that's all you need to do is just be yourself, so.
Yeah, that was, with Tom, I think it was the perfect choice. And we said time and time again that this show was so hard to predict. But it does make perfect sense, because as Mattson says, he could be that pain sponge, essentially a puppet. He's got no morals, he's got no code, he's got no strategies, he's just the perfect ass kisser. So it's sort of like failing upwards. He obviously comes from humble beginnings. This is how you get to the top when you come from that type of background. Through luck. Keeping a low profile, but kissing up to the right people. So I guess for him, it was a success. And I think, people can feel any which way they want about Tom winning, Kendall losing, Shiv losing, Roman losing.
I'm thinking we should have slit his throat in the cradle. Well,
I don't think that was ever the point of the show. It's fun to speculate and for people to gamble and to throw out these fun theories about Greg becoming CEO. But it was always inevitable that this group, the three of them, the Roy children, were going to self-destruct. And I think the way it happened was so beautifully tragic. It was a perfect subversion of the expectations of, is Kendall going to win or is Shiv, as I said? And all that just blows up in their faces, and they have this realization that none of them are fit to rule because they're broken, and it's because of how they grew up and their dynamic and their relationships. And I think what's so interesting is, going back to season 1, episode 1, they make a point to say that the family hasn't been together for a long time, that they all come together because of Logan's stroke. And now in the finale, they're going to go their separate ways for a long time.
Yeah.
This is going to be the final wedge between them where it creates a dynamic similar to Logan and Ewan. They're always going to love each other, but they'll never be able to forgive each other. And more specifically, Kendall's never going to be able to forgive Shiv. Perfect name for that character, right? Stabs him right in the back. But I'm also worried for Kendall.
Yeah, I was definitely, I don't want to say I was surprised, but going into the episode, my final prediction was Kendall, mostly because I saw a TikTok edit of him and Logan. I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to be Logan now.
This is it.
Yeah,
the back shots, right? The back of the head.
Very easily convinced. I'm like, yep, it's Kendall.
I was right there with you, man.
Yeah.
I thought they were going the route of, absolute power corrupts absolutely. He becomes Logan. How tragic. Yeah. This character that has endeared himself to the audience loses himself completely.
It's a very, I don't want to say a simple ending, but all the signs are there, and I think it actually would have been a very satisfying ending, and they probably would have pulled it off well. But I think more attuned to the show, this type of ending makes the most amount of sense. And I've seen people not love the ending and kind of think that it might have derailed at the end, but I saw some people who didn't like the ending, but also understood that kind of makes sense and stays true to what the show is. So I think you can look at it from both ways. I thought the finale was, I don't think it's the best episode of the season, but I thought it was a very satisfying finale. It's one of those things that I honestly do think, because it's the last episode of the show, you really got to sit on for maybe a little bit and think about, just to see how it fully settles within you and what your perception of it is. But coming off that episode last night, what I was thinking about, kind of just reacting and trying to figure out how I felt about it. But during the episode, I was at the edge of my seat, my heart was racing, and that's really when Succession is at its best, when it's making you just go crazy internally while you're waiting for the next move to be made.
Yeah, I think for a finale, the focus that we got on the main characters was great. I think Jesse Armstrong, from a writing standpoint, did a great job weighing all these characters emotionally, where they are, what they want, their motivations. Making Roman the key for the first half of the episode for both Kendall and Shiv was also a brilliant stroke, because Roman's always been the middle child of the group, the one who's a bit more sensitive and emotionally available at times, even though he can go really dark. And then they have that really uplifting moment where they're bonding at their mom's house. It's probably the happiest they've ever been together. And at that point, you're thinking, this is
going to go terribly for them.
Right, it's going to go wrong. So at 90 minutes, it definitely felt epic, and it felt like a finale, like it was written as a farewell. Some of the lines of dialogue where you could chalk it up as this is the healthiest the relationship has been between the three of them. But I felt like Roman's character in particular, his writing got a little cute at times, like these are going to be the final Roman quotes that we always look back on. But I didn't mind that so much because I thought the episode was very funny, and it was, as I said, it was cool to see those moments of the children bonding, like they were three little kids raiding their mom's fridge, making fun of that. I was dying with Kendall singing in his mom's voice, and also Roman imitating their mom.
It was such a great moment, but obviously what happens next, like, if you want, you can just stop the episode there and headcanon it the rest of the way. Yep, they all lived happily ever after.
Yeah, Kendall becomes CEO and then stabs them immediately in the back.
I actually, like, one scene I just didn't, it's such a small scene, and it was nice to see him again in the finale because it is, you know, for a large part of its existence, Logan Roy's show. I didn't love that little home tape.
Oh, no.
No, I wasn't a fan of that.
Because it felt out of place?
Yeah.
It's the only time we've ever seen Logan with his hair down, and it comes in the finale.
Right, and it's like, obviously there are moments outside of the show that we don't see, and kind of that moment, the kids watching and crying, it kind of gave off like, I don't know. I think the way they ended Logan and the way they see him, I don't think that was necessary.
It was perfect in the funeral. That was the perfect cap on their relationship with Logan.
That should have been it. Those were their last words about him. Obviously, in the finale, while getting this shit done, he gets brought up and everything, but like their actual true moments with him or thoughts about him should have just been left at the funeral. And even Connor doing like the whole fuck off thing, like I felt like that's very
written for a finale.
Yeah, it's the two online. That's kind of what I'd say.
Yeah, that scene does feel a little unnecessary. It was nice to see Logan kicking back with his friends, enjoying himself. It very much felt like a scene to remind us, once again, he was a complicated man. At the end of the day, there's still some humanity left in him, which I think we picked up those pieces along the way, even since the very beginning, because there are moments when Logan has been softer with characters. They reference the medals that Connor took before everybody else got the chance, but in season 1, when he's showing Willa the medals, he does kind of come off like Peepaw.
Yeah.
These are the medals that I collect, and here's the history behind it. These are Roman. So, yeah, I guess, for them, it was that final moment of unity before they are going to go their separate ways.
Very small. Didn't like...
But you know who I really thought stood out in this episode? Once again, 2 episodes in a row, Harriet Walter as Lady Caroline.
There was something about eyes. They just kind of revoked me.
Eyes? Like human eyes we all have.
I thought that, we saw in the last episode that she was making more of an effort to be a mother. And I think this was the sweetest, as sweet as she could be, that we've seen her.
Yeah, those are nice moments because we talked about all the abuse and kind of how that differs from the abuse they received from Logan, but it's just as impactful when it comes to their children's relationships with their parents. And
well, I even thought it was cute the way she brought in Peter to make a pitch.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just cute.
So
she's trying.
Yeah.
She'll never be able to make up for the damage she did, but at the very least, she wants them all to be there. And she's got the emotional intelligence to say, hey, you guys need to drop this. Like, enough with the board meetings, enough with the company. Just let it go.
Well, yeah, getting into that, I mean, we've talked about it every week where it's just like the healthiest thing probably for these kids is just to start fresh. And they kind of got that, but the way it all came about was not the best way. If there was a team effort where they just decided, hey, let's just do Pierce, let's just do something different, do the 100 and just get out of this, that would have been the healthiest, best option for all 3 of these children. But that's just not how they're wired. Yeah, seeing them have that last moment together, I mean, those moments are always so iconic because it's just not the par when it comes to their relationship. But when you do get those moments, they're extra special. And it really did seem like, yeah, they were ready to rally around Kendall. Just say, fuck it, whatever. Rather it be you than Matsson. And obviously what drives that is Shiv getting pushed out, which we kind of foresaw coming by Matsson.
I think that move to pick Tom is what makes her betray Kendall in the end, because I think if it was between Matsson and Kendall, she would have went with Kendall. But at least with Tom, she can go back and they can rekindle their marriage, as loveless as it seems. That moment with them at the end was super cold, but kind of badass, seeing them dressed in black. Shiv taking on this Lady Macbeth role.
Yeah, I think with Shiv, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it in terms of like where she's at, what her motivations are. But, I think with a character like that ending up in a position where she is now married to the CEO of her father's company, just the way it all happened, where her husband fucked her over to be the CEO of the man who fucked her over, who bought the company. It's just like she might be like in a good position on paper, but how it came to be and what the future looks like, I don't think she's going to be happy at all.
No, I think very much she's relegated to the role of wife and mother. And people have made this point that the reason she separated herself from the family was so that wouldn't be her fate. So she ends up not where she started, but even a few steps behind that. So I think that's a perfect way to leave that relationship where it's switched. Tom, that's always been a power dynamic, and now Tom is the one with more power over Shiv. But I've seen people say that, oh, their kid can now be raised to be the next CEO. I'm like, Tom's going to be out of there in like 6 months to a year once Matsson finishes up. As he says, we're going to get real deep to the bone. And it's funny with Tom, man. I thought that there was a moment there where he was going to finally stand up for himself.
I want to fuck her on a little bit.
Where Matsson's saying, I can't make Shiv the CEO because I want to fuck her. Does that make you uncomfortable? Clearly does. Matthew McFadden, an incredible actor. Just the way that the life leaves his face, and you think for a moment he's going to stand up for himself and not do the right thing, but fuck over Matsson because of how disrespectful he just was. But nope, he tells Greg, we're going to be all right. And even when Greg betrays him, he takes him back under his wing because that's really the only friend he has.
I don't think Greg betrayed him. He just got the information. He didn't know it was going to be Tom. He thought it could be Lawrence. He thought it could be anybody. So he passed that information on to Shiv.
Well, he did betray him because Tom told him they were going to be all right. And then he still went back. The quad, baby.
Yeah.
See, that was a fun way that they did all the finale shit, right?
Yeah.
Greg was always with the kids. And for the very last episode, they're back together.
Well, I do like in a vacuum, the finale was basically what the whole show was. Someone got screwed over, in this case being Shiv. And then it's just going back to the kids being like, all right, let's do it together. Who's going to be, which one of us is going to take it? And that's just something that's just been happening constantly throughout the entire 4 seasons of the show. Like, okay, maybe we're on the same page here, but like, who's it going to be?
Goes back to the very first episode when Logan has a stroke and Shiv is hesitant to name Kendall. But the way Kendall
literally
was
the same conversations.
Yeah.
But it's like that's not a negative at all.
No, it's not a negative.
Yeah.
It's just the cycle that they're trapped in, and it's finally broken. That's why when people say, "Oh, there's stuff there for season 5," well, I think the focus has always been on the relationship between the 3 kids and how they were going to fuck this up and how it was going to leave them, well, some of them hopeless in the end, especially Kendall. I thought the way that Kendall was arguing for himself throughout the episode was similar to the way Kendall fans argue for Kendall on the internet. It's just like he's the guy. He's the only one with experience. It just makes sense. And it was very much him saying, listen, guys, I'm the main character. Go back to season 1, okay? It's always been about me.
I was the first shot.
Yeah.
And the last shot.
But it is fucked up with Kendall when he's saying, they're going back and forth. It's so petty about, Dad told me first. Well, Dad told me last. And Shiv put it perfectly. Logan didn't give a fuck. All he cared about was the moment. But with Kendall being told since you were 7 years old that this was going to be your destiny, he's made it his entire personality. It is truly the only thing he knows, for better or worse. He is a terrible father, becoming more like Logan in the way that he treats those around him, especially the women. But that's his life. Right. So that hopelessness at the end, it tears you apart, dude. And the imagery with the water, we've seen him floating in it. We've seen him under the water, above the water. We have the moment where he's sitting on the dock and the kids finally swim up to him to anoint him. He's finally on top, they're below him. But then that final shot where he's even with the water and you don't know what he's going to do. I think leaving the audience with that uncertainty as your lasting moment, as your final shot, is borderline psychotic by Jesse Armstrong and Mike Millard. But it's also a moment that totally breaks your heart. And Jeremy Strong, all the actors in the show have been incredible, but I think he's crafted one of the most memorable and most real television characters ever put on screen.
Yeah, I mean, the debates that are going to come from the show in the coming months and years about just like best television character, best television series, and I think that's just well deserved because, like you said, I don't think anybody has embodied a character more than Jeremy Strong has, Kendall Roy. Comparatively to the rest of the cast, to stand out from this cast is truly like something special because everybody else is fucking terrific as well.
Well, he stands out so much that they wrote a scene for Shiv and Roman to mimic him, to do their Kendall impressions.
Not great.
Did you just kill me? Yeah, no, they weren't terrific, but that the show is that meta that they realize Kendall is the one who's being imitated the most. Kendall is probably the fan favorite. Yeah, all those Kendall girlies out there whose hearts were probably broken.
I was so, like, in the beginning when Shiv is counting the numbers with Madsen and, like, they're like, oh, we got this. I'm like, come on, Kendall.
Yeah, no, I was hyped for it, dude.
Swing those votes. Come on. It's my favorite type of drama. Is like, even with like House of Cards, like whipping votes, like I'm a sucker for trying to get the votes.
Yeah. What are you going to promise? How are you going to convince them? It's fun.
It's like, oh, can you get Stewie? Yeah, I think he got Stewie. What is that, 7 right now? Okay, need one more.
They were like, I think both the Sandys are open. Both of them immediately voted yes to selling to Gojo.
And I think one thing about that culmination, and obviously we have plenty more to touch upon, but that final board meeting, obviously reminiscent to season 1. The meeting itself, like, I thought, like, I still think the season 1 is the better version of a board meeting, going down to the wire, not knowing what to do. So I think that first initial reaction, especially with Roman, like, not voting for Kendall, and Kendall's, like, the aftermath of all that was just so impactful. Here it's definitely more permanent, and obviously the stakes are much bigger, but I think once they step out and have that conversation with the 3 kids in that room, that's probably, like, the most, I don't know, there's a lot of things said there that, I don't know, can be taken back, and like you said, this relationship between the kids might just be strained for the rest of their days.
Right. Well, watching the board meeting play out, the whole episode, I felt like I was watching Game 7 for my favorite team. So anxious, back and forth. You're in the lead. The other team takes the lead. You just want Kendall to bring it home. So you're so close, you can almost taste it, and then the rug gets pulled out from under you, and everything goes to shit. But I think Kendall's approach, as I said, it reminded me of his fans on the internet. But there was a restlessness. And then there was a cockiness once he was anointed by his siblings. So when they tell him to take on the big chair, and they're like, oh, it's just a chair. I love the way he did the little waddle. Like, oh, I'm in the big chair now. But when he kicks up his feet, you see it in Shiv's reaction. She's like, and it's nothing more than being a petty sibling.
Yeah.
I don't want him to have it because he's the oldest one and he's entitled and he's been really annoying about it. And sure, maybe there's some of, I can stop him from becoming his father. I can stop the cycle.
Well, that's a debate I've been seeing, Shiv's motivation.
But I really think it's as simple, well, it's not as simple, but a lot of it goes to Kendall's demeanor. When he skips ahead and doesn't even make his pitch. I think in Shiv's mind, she's like, I can't stomach him, as she says.
I think a lot of it is
so fucking annoying.
She still thinks that she's better.
Definitely, yeah.
She's the best option.
And Madsen says it as much, right? I think that was nice to get some confirmation in the show that Shiv is smart and respected by other people.
Yeah. I mean, they tried to say, like, he just thought the cartoon was funny, but I think that's what played into it a lot. Like, Shiv is actually someone with a spine and backbone and knows what she's doing and harder to control than someone like fucking Tom, who's basically Play-Doh, and you can make into whatever you want. But Shiv, I saw a lot of people saying Shiv trying to stop the cycle, prevent Kendall from becoming their father. I don't know how much I buy that as much as her. Maybe it is a mix of everything, a little bit of that, also a little bit of fuck Kendall, like, why is it him? It should be me. For the same reasons why this thing's been going on for all these seasons, like the same motivations, the same reasons. Yeah, I just think in that moment, it's just a decision that I don't know if she would make. It is, like you said, it's such a perfect finale, but it is something you can revisit in like 5 years and be like, what does she think about that decision? Does she regret it, seeing what the future holds for her?
Right, because I do think if Kendall becomes CEO, when he's promising them their fiefs and their kingdoms, he would have stabbed them right in the back.
Sure.
No way Shiv is getting something as big as ATN, because that puts her in a very, very powerful position, and they're going to continue to butt heads. I did find it funny when Roman's having that breakdown in the office, and Kendall's like, no, Roman, the socials, you're going to do the socials. He kept bringing up the social medias.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to make Roman feel better about himself.
No, the kids they're always destined to just be divided, and
yeah, so we're all like, why can't they just support Kendall? It's like, well, because he was going to cut them out immediately.
And I do think they do care about each other. But
sure.
At the end of the day, their motivations are always very selfish.
And that's why I think Roman, I don't know if it's a happy ending, even though he was smiling, but I did think he felt the most free out of the 3 siblings.
They should all feel a sense of freedom here. But they just can't, because like you said, that's just been driven into their brains and since they were 7. that
Right.
this was your destiny.
And I think with Roman, it's like, why the fuck did I care so much about this? When he tells Kendall, we're a joke, we're bullshit, that damages Kendall way more than it damages Roman. Because I think with Roman, he realizes this shouldn't have been my arena. I failed spectacularly. Now I can go back to being, I don't know why, but he reminds me so much of Robert Downey Jr. He's like a variant of Iron Man who's a bit more slimy. But just being that charismatic billionaire sort of playboy who's sitting at the bar drinking a martini, a nice reference to Jerry, couldn't even look her in the face. And I think that was heartbreaking to see his reaction to someone that was his mentor, that had his back, and he realizes that it's over for me and I'm going to move on with my life. But I don't think a character in this show exemplifies the light and the dark of a person more so than Roman, because we see it where he is very emotionally available at times and he can be understanding and sympathetic, but then he can just be so fucking cruel. Like what he says to Kendall.
They are a pair of randos.
Yeah,
that was the most fucked up thing anybody has said to another character in this show. That like, I was ready for Kendall to Oberyn this man's skull.
Dude, that's what he was doing. I'm like, is he gouging his eyes out right now? I do think there is, like, I think Roman and Kendall, they could still have a relationship after this. I don't think they're out, but yeah, that is a fucked up thing
I don't
to
think
say.
Kendall respects Roman enough to hold that grudge. That was really fucked up, man. And to say that's what Dad thought.
You can't be CEO. You can't, because you killed someone.
And then Shiv dropping the fucking hammer. We were wondering, is this going to come up? Is it going to be leaked to the press? But no, I think it was handled perfectly. It's a personal moment. And I think Kendall lying to their faces after, opening up and bringing them together at the end of season 3, that was the nail in the coffin, that they're never going to trust this guy.
Rich.
What?
Wait,
Which?
which? What, like you've killed so many people you forgot which one?
But it was pathetic to watch him lie that way.
Well, it's even, I think they were all kind of a little pathetic in that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the outside looking in, right?
Yeah.
Of all those other board members, like,
I mean, Shiv
these
using that
assholes.
to bring it up, like, using that as a reason, like, that's not the reason why you don't think he could be CEO.
Right.
You think you're better and you think you deserve it, which is, fine and might be true, but, like, that's the excuse you're going to pull out at the literally zero out, like, the last possible second.
Yeah, man, that was so fucked up. My jaw dropped. I was like,
And Roman bringing that up, and just Kendall behaving the way he did, like a petulant child. I'm the eldest boy.
I'm the eldest boy. That was some Fredo Corleone shit.
Yeah,
man.
they're all just stunted. They're all Fredos. that's the
the lesson of the story.
That's the lesson of the show.
He didn't raise a Michael.
No, he needed a Michael. When he needed a Michael, he got a Connor.
He's got 4 Fredos, really.
So say what you will about Connor, he never wanted any power. Free me of all this. I'm just gonna live my life. Besides the politics and going to be president and thinking all that, if you wanted me to pick what Roy kid I am, it's Connor. Just go in there. Don't care. Remove yourself from everything. Just be happy being fucking filthy rich.
Right. He does have that relationship with Willow where we thought things were on the right track.
That made
and
me upset. I was sad.
You still see how much of a cuck he is and that he's just as pathetic as the other children.
Yeah, because she was definitely excited for him to.
Oh, no,
move.
yeah. She was like, I'm going to live in this fucking Manhattan townhouse.
Yeah. But I think that just holds true to what the show is.
Isn't that sad that we're Connor's the one that is the most like us? With all the issues that he has, that's how fucked up these children are.
But in the sense of just
Bunch of
I can
fucking
accept
weirdos.
just being rich and I don't have to fucking stab my family in the back in order to get a little bit more power. Just keep me out of it. Let me just chill and I'll be happy.
Yeah, all he really wants at the end is those medals.
Right.
And to maybe be president.
But it's at the end of the day, from the first episode, till now, these characters are who we thought they were. Obviously more perspective, more you go in depth and you figure out why they are who they are. But the more things change, the more things stay the same. That's a phrase that's always said, but it holds true for a lot of instances in this show too. Even with Willow, you finally think oh, she could make it work and happy, but you thought at the wedding when she's this is what I want, but now you see maybe that's starting to crumble.
Right. I mean, the show emotionally, there's always been these ebbs and flows between characters being up, and then what goes up must come down. So this back and forth, this up and down throughout the 4 seasons, but this feels like down bad forever.
Yeah.
So it's the perfect way to end it. That's why I don't want it to continue, because you're stuck thinking about those last scenes with those characters and where the hell would they go from there. And I think you can put the pieces together. We don't know exactly where they're going, but we know where they are emotionally. And I think that's why the finale is so satisfying. It didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. I wanted Kendall to be in that CEO role because, as I said, he's been the main character, and I think he would have been good at it. That's not the point, though.
Well, having it to go to an outsider like Tom is kind of perfect because, like, I think a lot of people were like, what kid is it going to be, you know? You're throwing Greg for fun, maybe Tom, you know, but like towards the end, it's more so just Shiv and Kendall, but for the large part, it's Shiv, Kendall, or Roman.
Right.
And for it to be none of them. And like you said, varying levels of unhappy endings when it comes to the kids. I think, like you said, Roman probably is the more well-off from the three at this point, even though he did take some L's.
Well, I think he has, when he has that moment with Kendall where he's finally able to embrace somebody else, or he can accept the physical touch of somebody who loves him. So it's sort of breaking that obsession he has with being hurt.
Right.
That was the only way that he was able to accept love, if somebody was demeaning him physically or emotionally. Even in that moment when his stitches do come out, I saw many different interpretations of that scene. Did Kendall do it intentionally to let him know, I'm here to protect you, but don't cross me? But I felt it was Roman going in so hard for that hug. He hasn't solved all of his issues in this moment, so there's a part of him that does crave that pain still. But I thought for the most part, out of the three siblings, he probably comes out the other side the most unscathed, even though he's quite literally the only one with, visible injuries on his face. And I think the way that they portrayed him when they first arrived to Carolina's house, where he's wearing those clothes that make him feel like a kid, he's not as interested in the votes and the back and forth. Eventually, they do start to rope him in. I feel like we have to pat ourselves on the back for complimenting Roman's emotional availability throughout the season. We have been saying that he is the most level-headed. Before his dad died, he started to spiral a bit, making some wonky decisions. I think deep down inside of him, there was always this voice saying, get out. This is not for you. You're doing this because you're trying to be something that you're not. And when he tells Kendall, why couldn't it be me? He realizes that he's not that guy, as Kendall says. Another online moment. You're just not that guy. Yeah, you can't really call it a happy ending, but I think there is a sense of freedom that character has that the other two maybe don't.
And I think for him too, it's kind of like when he looks back at like the past 4 years or whatever, how long this process was, I feel like he's gonna feel like it's just a fever dream. Like, what the fuck happened? Like that just got away from me, huh? Things got a little crazy back there, huh?
Yeah.
Where I feel like Shiv and Kendall were very much of the moment, aware of what they were doing and how everything was going to play out. Where Roman it just became too much for him. And like you said, we talk about Kendall having his identity issues. With Roman, again, like Connor in the first episode, he comes in like, look at all this business bullshit. Like he doesn't want to be a part of any of this. He's just roped into it. Other losers, Frank and Carl, they thought they were riding free. They thought they was Kobe going for that retirement tour. They don't love you like that.
Last dance.
Yeah.
One last rodeo, and immediately Tom's like, yeah, we're getting rid of those dinosaurs. I was happy for Carolina. Poor Hugo goes up to Tom, and Tom's first response is, where's Carolina?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, fuck.
I mean,
They're putting the dog down.
He did kind of, like him in that moment, like, head held high. It's like, I could see that. CEO Tom
with Tom,
games.
yeah, the demeanor changed. There was a bit more confidence, him greeting everybody. They have to all suck up to the new king. King in quotes. But yeah, that was a great shot with him walking through the hallway, and he commands the room. But he is a man with only one other friend, and that is Greg. So I guess they ended where they started, together.
As funny as it would have been for Greg to just be completely kicked out, like I kind of liked how Tom just was like, all right, things got a little crazy back there. You did some things, I did some things. But we're back, baby.
Yeah, this is an eternal flame burning between us.
Yeah. But like even in the earlier episode, like when Tom's fucking with Greg, when he's like, yeah, like $200K for highest paid assistant, you're probably gonna drop you down to like 30, 40. Like
that is one of the funniest aspects of their relationship, is that you can never trust whatever Tom is saying to Greg. He's always fucking with him, dude. And Greg's reactions, he's just deer in headlights. Like, really?
But Greg's like, yeah, 30, 40? Like, I can't... I pay $10,000 a month in rent.
Yeah, he's got that high rise that Kendall gave him, so...
Oh, yeah, maybe he's actually living rent-free.
Yeah, he might be living rent-free.
But yeah, something about Tom and Greg just kind of ending up on top, really. It is funny.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely hilarious because, they've been the two bumbling side characters. At times it feels like they're separated from everything, that they're just watching the events from outside of the story. So for them to be wearing the crown at the end, it's terrific.
Like, as much as Greg has annoyed me of late and all the terrible shit Tom has done, if he left Greg out in the cold, I would have been very upset with him.
Two funny lines pertaining to Tom. One was when the kids realize that Tom is going to be named CEO, and Roman says, "Oh,
Let's go.
Fucked by the dry cleaner.
Fuck by the dry cleaner." And when Shiv is pitching Tom to Mattson and says that Tom will suck the biggest dick in the room, and Mattson goes,
Love is in the air.
Yeah.
His delivery of that line reminded me so much of his dad, Stellan Skarsgård. It's so awesome that we just have a new Stellan Skarsgård. Because even though obviously they look different, he's got way more of a leading man look. He is of similar talent to his father, where he can be intimidating and he can dominate a scene, where he's just got that look in his eyes that I'm in control here. So that line delivery reminded me so much of his dad.
Where's Emma? Emma!
But we've complimented him throughout the season. I thought, once again, he was awesome in this episode. The final jabs that he gets on Roman. What's the return policy here? And Roman just walks right out. So him just standing tall over the shorter Kieran Culkin, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Roman wasn't able to slay the giant. He just got stomped out into oblivion. And a lot of people pointed this out online after the episode. The image of Kendall looking over the water in Battery Park with Colin behind him. I mean, that's his past. That's always going to be there haunting him.
Right.
These moments, these last 4 years or however long it was, is always going to be, as Jesse Armstrong says, the defining moment of his life. So he does feel like a character that is totally hopeless. We don't see his kids. We don't see his wife. There was a scene circulating at the end of season 1 when he dances with his wife and kids after killing the waiter. And it feels like a scene that didn't even happen, because it's not even him realizing, oh, people love me. But it's him just trying to take his mind off of the fact that he just irresponsibly killed someone or committed manslaughter. So it was similar to Logan when he's contemplating his death. You think there's anything after this? It's like, yo, go be with your kids. Same thing with Kendall. Yo, go be with your kids. But that doesn't matter to him. The only thing that matters to him is being this corporate psycho CEO. And it was stolen from him.
His need for legitimacy always is something that it is his main downfall. And like you said, that strained relationship with his kids, with his siblings, with his family, he has nothing right now. He literally has nothing. Roman too, but
it feels like there's potential for Roman to go out and find something.
But it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
Whereas Kendall this might be it.
Yeah, no, it is sad the fact that they leave it so ambiguous where we don't know where he's headed. Because with the other characters, as I said, we could sort of piece it together. But with how mentally unstable Kendall has been.
He's drinking again, right?
Drinking again, right. Some of the conclusions you draw are very dark. There was no alternative ending that leaves Kendall in a place where we could say he's emotionally stable or he's living a healthier life.
There's no light. They didn't give us a light at the end of the tunnel with that character.
No, the only outcome that would satisfy him is becoming his father, because that's what he was always raised to do. And that's why it is so fucked up that he was Logan's chosen successor, because I think that's the only way Logan thought to raise a child, is to mold a kid in his image, and then being dissatisfied that he's not as ruthless as him and just throwing him under the bus.
You're smart, you're good, but I just don't know.
What? Come on.
You're not a killer. You have to be a killer.
So yeah, it does really feel inevitable for all the kids, but especially for Kendall. So yeah, maybe we would have been happier if he became CEO, but at the end of the day, he would have been this new Logan. So that's something we would have had to live with as well. Yeah, Kendall got it, but at what cost? And that's why it was a perfect emotional manipulation by Jesse Armstrong to have those bonding moments of the kids singing and making that disgusting drink and then pouring it on Kendall's head, because it was like a slumber party between 3 kids. Last time that they're going to be that innocent and that vulnerable around each other, probably in their entire lives. So yeah, it definitely felt like a moment that would happen in a finale, but it was also appropriate for these characters and where they were at. And even, the dialogue has always been so crisp when Shiv and Roman are going back and forth talking about metaphorically killing him, but then you realize that they could actually kill him this way in real life.
Yeah.
So that was fun. We always joke about the way that they talk about killing people in the corporate sense, but there it became a little literal. And in a way, it kind of did happen, Maybe Shiv did kill Kendall, actually.
Yeah, maybe Kendall died in that pool and everything we've been seeing is just a dream.
Yeah. But once again, rooting for the kids throughout this season, trying, at first going against Logan and then rooting for them to, really put it together and be a united front. It did feel like the Avengers teaming up when Shiv realizes that Matson's gonna fuck her over and says, okay, what do we do? It's like, yeah, we're cooking here. And when they finally arrived at New York, the Succession theme is playing. They're all getting in their cars. They look cool. They're dressed to impress, and so I'm a sucker for that type of shit. As despicable and as unlikable as these characters can be, they've written them with enough pathos that those moments get you back on their side. And not even get you back on their side. You're always on their side. You're just waiting for them to meet the challenge. So I was excited. I was ready to go. Too good to be true at the end of the day.
You knew something was going to happen. I honestly didn't know what until it happened. Like, I was surprised that it was Shiv. It shouldn't have been, but like in that moment when she goes out and...
I was like, no, dude.
Yeah.
The whole scene, I was like, no, Shiv, no.
He was so cocky, too.
But dude, when he
realized
realized
he had it in the bag.
Yeah, dude, he was so... Well, what do you think was a better performance? His monologue in episode 9, or when he breaks down with Shiv? Because those may be the two most memorable Kendall moments of the entire series.
Yeah, I mean, that moment, I think it was just so... It's just all the build-up until that moment and everything being taken away from him and seeing how his true nature and how he reacts to it is pretty... It's pretty incredible.
He just becomes pure rage.
Yeah.
Saying that it doesn't make any logical sense. He just keeps repeating that. Because it doesn't, but it does. It's that sort of thing. There is no right answer here. So the fact that it's being taken away from him is the wrong answer.
I'm happy Stewie ended up being Team Ken at the very end.
Finally.
Yeah.
He finally gets Stewie on his fucking team and he still can't win.
Yeah.
The people love Stewie.
Yeah, because his dude's on Molly.
That was really funny, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that played into it too, making Stewie chair. Shiv is right there, and then Stewie rubs it in her face. How do you like the sound of that, Shiv? Kendall wasn't giving her any olive branches, except the one thing that he was going to take away from her.
Literally gave Stewie a promotion within 10 seconds and before solidifying Shiv's role in the company.
That motherfucker really is unserious. Well,
man.
He always saw himself as king, man.
It is so funny when we always talk about these type of plots and shows, whether it be who's going to lead the company, who's going to be literal king. It's always like, the best choice is always the person who doesn't want it. And here, you can't make that argument because literally everybody fucking wants it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
There's no Jon Snow here who doesn't.
No, that shit doesn't exist in corporate America. The reluctant George Washington CEO.
Yeah, even Connor, you could be like, well, he doesn't want to be CEO, but he wants to be the fucking president.
No, yeah, what's the next best thing? Yeah, I'll just be the fucking president. And I'm sure if you gave it to Connor, he would take it.
Yeah.
With confidence.
Do wonders for his political career.
We did get to mention that Menken's election may not hold up.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see, and we saw the disappointment from Willa. And that's why there is some meat left on the bone, but I think those things going unresolved are perfect, because whether Menken becomes president or not, it doesn't take away from what just happened at that board meeting. And, the stuff with Matsson, him sending his blood to Ebba, is that going to be his downfall? I doubt it, because people in those positions of power have done far worse without losing their power. Look at what happened with Logan and the whole scandal with the cruises.
You don't have to put a bow on every single thing. I think a lot of that open-endedness makes it fun to think about. Like, at the end of the day, this story is Kendall's story, Shiv, Roman, the kid stories of who's going to be CEO, and that story has ended.
Yeah, all the emotional threads were tied up, and that's what's most important.
It would be funny if Jimenez gets elected and doesn't put the deal through.
Damn, I wonder, that is a possibility. I didn't even think about that, dude. Season 5? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, man. That opens up... No, I mean, that ending with Kendall is just a perfect final shot. I wouldn't want to see that. Because he's left sort of like Logan.
No, but if that did happen, or if they were to come to a season, we've talked about it, like, it literally has been the same thing over and over again, but, like, the way they've been able to keep it fresh and not feel repetitive is pretty remarkable. But to do that again and come back and it kind of just be the same thing, because then the same problems would arise.
You need the same type of drama.
Yeah.
I guess the dynamics have shifted, right? With maybe Tom becoming a more major player than Shiv is, Shiv being his puppet master. But I think it is genius how they left Kendall in the same spot that Logan left off, where he's walking around Battery Park sort of aimlessly, contemplating all these bigger questions. There's a hopelessness that both of those characters share. Unfortunately for Kendall, he never got to ride that wave of being the the king of the world, but he does end up in the same exact place where Logan was, where he's alienated himself from his family. He doesn't have that power anymore. The world is changing because Logan was deciding to sell the company. So I think it's a stroke of genius from the writing there, that they sort of just fast forwarded that through 4 seasons where you have all that emotional baggage to carry for the rest of your life. The only problem is you're 40 years younger than your father was. So you've got another few decades to carry this with you. That's the mark of a tragedy, right? It's the perfect modern tragedy.
Yeah. You think Colin's his best friend now?
Yeah, no, 100%. I can see them having that exact same conversation. You're my best pal. Colin being like, yeah, I am.
I need new friends. I need a new job.
Yeah, you know what else was sort of genius? Is that every major character or major and supporting character managed to appear in this episode because of the board meeting. That's why it feels very much like a finale, but it still fits the trajectory of the show. So it was cool to see Ewan get his final line, and the 2 Sandys and Stewie and the mention of Walter. So some callbacks, tying some things up, leaving some things open-ended. For me, just for in terms of the execution, it was a perfect finale. And I know people are going to have different reactions because we view this show like we view sports. Everybody picks their favorite player and wants them to win. So there's a lot of disappointment to go around. But I think the way that it fit the show thematically and structurally was pretty much flawless. I've seen a lot of people going back and forth of which is the best season. Most people seem to think it's either between season 4 or season 2. I think just riding this high of season 4, I would say this is the best season. It's tough to wrap up a show this complicated and this ambivalent at time. For it to be this satisfying, at least for me, to me it makes it the best season.
No, we see it all the time. I mean, these shows sometimes struggle to stick the landing. And I have seen some mixed reactions where some people don't love it, or some people think it's perfect, literally perfect. And I think that's to be expected, especially when something's coming to an end, to weigh what you wanted versus what actually happens, or what you thought would be the best ending versus what we actually got. And I do think, like, especially for series finales, it does take a little bit to really set in and kind of give your concrete, like, okay, yeah, this was a perfect finale, this is a perfect show. Right now, I'm leaning towards that. Yeah, for all the reasons we talked about, I felt like it just hold true to the themes and really put the final stamp on who these characters are and what their lives are.
Yeah, I just keep going back to the scene when Shiv walks out of that boardroom and how nasty it got between them, dude. And the fact that it even gets physical. I mean, we saw that season 1, episode 1, when it's Roman and Shiv slapping each other. But now to see Kendall in that position where he even pushes Shiv out of the way, and it's Roman stepping up to protect her like the big brother saying, hey, she's fucking pregnant, you asshole, what are you doing? I think that ending in particular is going to become immortalized in television history. It almost makes it feels like right now it would be impossible for me to watch the show from the beginning until some time passes, because I know what's coming between those 3 kids. And to me, I almost wanted to turn off my TV. It was hard to watch them implode in such a embarrassing and pathetic way, but it's brilliant. To me, it is one of the best final seasons, and they took so many great chances, you know? Logan Roy is an icon. He's a monstrous presence. The fact that they killed him off in episode 3, it's brilliant. I keep going back to it. You know, it really gets the ball rolling for the rest of the season in such an interesting and fascinating way. You know, we always say, how can you keep making this interesting when it's, I'm on this side and you're on that side, I'm going to backstab you, no, I'm going to backstab you. It keeps happening, but they always sprinkle in a different flavor, a different way to spin it. And killing off Logan, you know, Brian Cox was saying that maybe Logan faked his death to see which kid would be the most worthy. So he was a little salty about it. How could you not, right? It's the role of a lifetime, and they make that decision. But no, they always put the show first, and that's what was so impressive.
He's looking down right now and like has never been more confident in his decision. It's like these kids are fucking idiots.
Yeah. And, you know, I wish it was a show that was more popular. It always sucks. It's similar to Breaking Bad. The first 4 seasons, decent ratings. Final season, it really blows up. You know, it didn't blow up as much as Breaking Bad, but you sort of saw that a bit with this final season of Succession, where it was the most watched, the highest rated season. So you imagine if it did go into season 5 or season 6, it would only continue to grow because of how good this season was. It's been so fun to watch since the very beginning. The entertainment value has only increased. And you can argue about which seasons are better, but it definitely maintained its quality. And that's so difficult for a show like this, where, you know, there's so many characters, there's so much personality. How do you balance all of that? And they did the best job that they could have.
Yeah, no, continually make this kind of world just so interesting and really just, like you said, one of the more the entertainment value of the show is second to none, just in the fact that you really don't know who these characters are or what moves they're going to make next because they are just so erratic at times. And it's just one of those shows, like for me, like once I was hooked, there was no stopping. We talk about how awesome it is to have appointment television every week. Sundays at 9, you knew you were on your couch ready for Succession. And it sucks that we're not going to have that anymore.
Yeah, this feels like the end of an era, with Succession ending, with Barry ending, with Better Call Saul ending, that we're entering this new phase of who's going to pick up the baton. Is this the true end of the quote-unquote golden age of television?
No, because next week premiering on Max, The Idol, starring The Weeknd.
Yeah, remind me to cancel my Max subscription. I totally forgot. Fucking Max, so stupid.
I wonder how many people just forgot about it and had to download Max at 8:59 p.m. It's such a weird way for maybe your most critically acclaimed show of all time for HBO, the standard of television. The week before the series finale, you put it on a different streaming service on Memorial Day weekend, that Sunday. Like, just you're burying your own series finale.
Yeah, it sounds like Warner Brothers needs a board meeting, shake things up. I don't know who the fuck is in charge there. Maybe Connor Roy.
Probably fucking Kendall.
Oh man, yeah, I do not understand the marketing strategy there whatsoever. Also, I hate the idea of...
No, you know what it was? It was as simple as, oh, we want a new streaming service. Well, let's do it the week before the finale, because then everyone's just gonna go sign up for this one.
It makes perfect sense. You know what else we should do? We should run our other really critically acclaimed show at the same time so nobody talks about it. And everyone only talks about Succession while Barry just gets, lost in the shuffle. That's another brilliant marketing strategy. And hopefully they'll copyright this video, put the nice little cherry on top. Copyright all the channels that are reviewing your stupid shows that you're terrible at marketing. We're giving you free marketing because you guys keep fucking it up.
But other than that, great product.
So that does it for our Succession Season 4, Episode 10 series finale review. What an incredible show. Time will tell where it ranks amongst the greats of television. Does it crack that Mount Rushmore eventually? I think it will. But yeah. For Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey, I am Anthony JQ Nash. What'd you think, Aaron? First day hosting, right?
Honestly, not even that bad. Like, for a second there, I thought you were Beau.
Yeah, I have that effect on people. They say that I'm one of the best impressionists of my generation.
Do you do any other impressions?
I mean, I guess...
Since we're stuck on Succession, we could just, do Logan.
Fuck off!
Can you do Brian Cox's McDonald's commercial?
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Wow, that was probably our best review yet. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey here with a brief shameless plug before we end the video. Do you ever feel like you don't have an adequate amount of nerd soup in your life? Like you're going to bed hungry and yearning for the nonsensical yet entertaining nutrients our podcasts provide? Well, we've come up with the perfect solution. The Nerd Soup Fan Question Podcast, exclusively available to our Patreon supporters. You can sign up now by visiting patreon.com/nerdsoup, and for the price of only $1 per month, you'll receive exclusive access to our weekly podcast where we answer your questions that don't make it to the main show. And while you're there, you can check out the other rewards we offer to our patrons, like stickers, mugs, t-shirts, behind-the-scenes footage, and appearing in the credits at the end of our videos. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Roll the names of the nerds who make Nerd Soup possible. The reason why the crypto crash didn't send our lives spiraling down a black hole of no return. Alright, I'll stop talking so you can listen to this jazzy-ass music while checking if Beau spelt your name wrong in the credits.